2012. About 6 months or so into wrestling training. My trainer, who would often rent out his ring to get some extra cash, rented out his ring to Hulk Hogan's Micro Championship Wrestling. And he needed me and a couple of the other guys to go along to put the ring together and do whatever else needed to be done. So we get there early, we put the ring together, all the special guests that were going to be on this show started rolling in, and Jimmy Hart and Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Brutus Barber Beefcake was there. Hogan shows up with Brian Knobbs, and we get all their merchandise set up and everything, and I end up getting hit with the job of running Hogan and Knobbs merch tables. I am selling their merch and, making sure everything's correct and all that. And then we get to the end of the show and we go to settle up everything. I go in this room with the money and I just sit down with Hogan and Knobbs. I sold a bunch of Hogan shirts and I didn't sell one single Brian Knobbs shirt, but Brian Knobbs accused me of stealing his money. He kept going on and on about it. He's like, I know I sold shirts. You stole my money. And he's just going off. And I finally had enough of it. And I just went, dude, you have to sell merch for me to steal your money. If you sell nothing, I got nothing to steal. And I remember Hogan just started laughing and he had to pull Knobbs into another room and try to calm him down.
In the hierarchy of professional wrestling, it's hard to talk to a veteran like that, especially a legend like Brian Knobbs, whether you like him or not. I mean, the Nasty Boys are a legendary tag team. And this caller was a trainee. First 6 months or whatever it was of learning how to be a professional wrestler, I'm sure knew who the Nasty Boys were. And here you are getting scolded by Brian Knobbs. Some people would just be like, I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, sir. But I love that it got to a point, and you got to ask yourself, what is that point? He asked himself that. You at home should ask yourself that. What is the point where you just can't take being belittled by somebody who is wrong, even though they have 30 years of wrestling experience on you, if you are within the wrestling industry? And here it was Knobbs saying that you stole his money when the guy couldn't sell a t-shirt. So good for you. I'm very proud of you. The other thing is, listen, I'm a kid of the 80s, right? That's when I grew up. I grew up on Hulkamania. I know Hulk said some really, really dumb shit. But for me, there's still the aura and the legendariness of the idea of Hulk Hogan. I don't know if I would be his friend in real life, but when I hear a story of somebody just like in a green room with Hulk Hogan, it's hard to think of Hulk Hogan just as a normal person, which is weird because I've met all of the wrestlers and most of my heroes are my friends these days. But for me, I guess he's just the one that is just so larger than life. It's just wild to think he's essentially doing an indie show. That's all that was, the Micro Wrestling League or whatever it was. It's also weird to hear about the weird ventures that Jimmy Hart was getting Hulk Hogan to, for sure. So I love hearing that Hulk Hogan was doing essentially the same thing I was doing, but in the 2000s, which was setting up a merch stand and getting somebody to sell his t-shirts for him. It's not like a giant arena cut. It was the local guy putting up the ring. Can you please sell our shirts for us? Fun to get a Hulk Hogan story. I'm very proud of you. Very curious if anyone went to those shows. I know they had a TV show for a second. Didn't last that long, but what show really does? Hey, thanks for watching. That call was part of a whole podcast called Wrestling Anonymous. Listen to the whole thing weekly. Wherever you listen to your podcasts, go subscribe. And while you're at it, subscribe right here on YouTube to Colt Cabana's channel. Thank you.